Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you all are fine and staying safe and happy. I am your science teacher, Miss Farheen, and I welcome you all to your science class. My dear students, today we will start chapter number 3, that is flowers and seeds, and today I will deliver its first lecture. So my dear students, now is time for an activity. So क्योंकि हम flowers और seeds के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, तो सबसे पहले हम एक एक्टिविटी से स्टार्ट करेंगे इसको, जो कि बहुत फन एक्टिविटी है. ऑब्जर्व द पार्ट्स ऑफ अ फ्लावर, dissect the parts, paste and write the names of the parts on a chart paper. So my dear students, इस प्रैक्टिकल के लिए आपको सबसे पहले क्या चीज़ चाहिए? आपको एक जो है वो flower चाहिए for dissection, and I will also show you different parts of the flower. I have this flower. This is a rose flower. You can find it anywhere. ठीक है, और हम इसके different parts जो हैं हम उनको जो हैं वो देखेंगे. So this is how I will split the flower into different pieces. So my dear students, सबसे पहले आप flower को अपने upside down उसको उल्टा कर लें, just like this. ठीक है, और सबसे पहले आपको इसकी flower stalk नज़र आ रही है, this. ठीक है, और फिर आपको जो है वो इसकी ये green part नज़र आ रहा है, which are called the sepals. These are the sepals. Then the colored part, these are called the petals. What are they called? These are called the petals. So सबसे पहले आप इसके डिफरेंट पार्ट्स को ऑब्जर्व करें. फ्लावर स्टॉक है, सेपल्स हैं, पेटल्स हैं, और इंटरनल पार्ट्स का अभी हमें नहीं पता. तो इंटरनल पार्ट्स को हम वन बाय वन जो है वो डाइसेक्ट करेंगे और देखेंगे विद द टॉपिक जो हम अभी आगे जाके पढ़ने वाले हैं. सो माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, रीड विद मी और मेरे साथ रहिएगा. So today's lecture, the students will examine and describe the structure of a flower. तो आज जो है वो बच्चे एक flower का जो structure है उसको examine भी करेंगे, and they will also able to describe it. So and grains having husks and scented plants. So अल्लाह ताला ने जो है वो भूसे वाले और खुशबूदार जो पौधे हैं वो इस दुनिया में पैदा किए हैं, like flowers. So my dear students, the pre-reading question: in which aspect flowers are different from one another? आपको क्या लगता है जो फूल हैं वो एक दूसरे से कैसे मुख्तलिफ हैं? Because of the color, because of the fragrance, the scents they have, they look different from one another. Because of their sizing, they look different. They grow in different seasons, so we can say that they are different from one another. So my dear students, I request you all to please open page number 37 in your Science 5 books. Very good. I hope you have opened the page. So my dear students, we will start the reading about the structure of a flower. Flowers are the distinguishing features of plants. They are reproductive organs of a plant that gradually develop into fruits and seeds. A complete flower has 4 parts. Each performs a specific function. The parts of a flower are sepals, petals, stamens, and carpels. One by one we will have a look. So my dear students, this is an internal structure of the flower. First of all, you can see the green part under the petal. This is called sepal, and then you can locate the colorful part. These are called the petals. Now one by one in my flower, और आपकी टीचर आपको flowers देंगी और आप उसके अंदर petals और sepals को locate करेंगे. So these are the green portion. These are called the sepals. So I will one by one pluck them all. These hold the petals in place. और अभी आप देखेंगे कि जैसे ही मैं इनको उतार दूंगी, I will dissect them all. तो आप देखेंगे कि petals एकदम से बिखर जाएंगी. They will not remain in their place. इस तरीके से आप देखेंगे कि ये फौरन टूटना भी शुरू हो जाती हैं. सो द सेपल्स कीप द पेटल्स इन देयर प्लेस. अब आप देखें कि ये जो पेटल्स हैं दे आर इन अ सर्कल. ये एक सर्कल में दे आर ऑल अराउंड द फ्लावर. आप इनको वन बाय वन इनको प्लक करना शुरू करें ताकि हम इंटरनल स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो फ्लावर का देख सकें. सो ऑन द स्क्रीन यू कैन ऑल्सो सी द पेडिसल. ये जो फ्लावर स्टॉक है इसको पेडिसल कहा जाता है. ये जो आपको डंडी नजर आती है, दिस इज कॉल्ड द पेडिसल. So one by one I will now pluck all the colorful part which are called the petals. इनको बहुत आराम से आपने प्लक करना है. अगर आप जोर से एकदम से तोड़ेंगे तो मे बी यू कैन harm the internal structure. So now it's done almost. मेरा जो flower है उसका petals और sepals जो है वो मैंने remove कर दी हैं. Now I will show you through a magnifying glass if you can see it clearly कि ये कैसा लगता है. ठीक है. So अब हम इसको one by one पहले हम screen पे diagram से देखेंगे और फिर जो है मैं आपको इसकी picture दिखाऊंगी कि कैसे जो है वो इधर से हम इसको study करेंगे. So now again move towards your diagram. First of all we will look at the stamen which has two parts, anther and filament. So stamen is the male part of a flower. ठीक है. और इसके कौन से parts होते हैं? इसके दो parts होते हैं, anther और filament. So this long part is called the filament and the top part is called the anther. Now let's look at the anther and filament in our flower. So यहाँ पे आपको small white कलर के filaments और उनके top पे slightly yellowish anthers जो है वो नजर आ रहे हैं. You can see them through the magnifying glass. बल्कि मैं खुद भी देखती हूँ तो बड़े क्लियरली जो है ये विजिबल होते हैं. जितना आप मैग्नीफाइंग ग्लास को दूर लेके जाएंगे आपको उतने ज़्यादा है जो है ये विजिबल होते जाएंगे. So again you can also have a look at the. So now I will detach all the anthers and filaments. So these are the male part of the flower and collectively they are called the stamen. बहुत आराम से आपने अगर आप ट्यूजर यूज करेंगे तो दैट इज मोर गुड. आपने सिर्फ एंथर्स और फिलामेंट्स को प्लग करना है. Done. I have almost plucked all the anthers and filaments. Just like this. Now this part of the flower remains. अब हम देखेंगे ये कौन सा पार्ट है और इसका क्या फंक्शन है. Let's have a look. So this part. Now this part remains on the flower जो हमारे पास ओरिजिनल में है. अब इसको क्या कहा है उन्होंने collectively इसको कार्पल कहा है और कार्पल के 1, 2 and 3 parts है. The top part of it is called stigma, the middle tube part is called style and the big fat part that is at the end is called the ovary. That is called the ovary and inside the ovary there are ovules which are also called eggs. So this carpel is the female part of the flower. ठीक है. अब हम इधर से देखते हैं. Now this red part this is called the stigma. And underneath it, it is called style. And if I will remove this green part, this fat part is called this part. This is the ovary of the flower. And inside this ovary, there are produced ovules which are also called eggs. This, done. So now I can see the part of the flower. There are inside eggs inside the fatter part of the flower which is called the ovary और उसके अंदर ovules, eggs आप दोनों तरह के नाम जो है वो यूज कर सकते हैं. So what have we discussed today कि flower के कितने parts होते हैं. Internally structured, the outer structure has sepals. Pedicel है सबसे पहले जो कि इसकी flower stalk है, इसकी डंडी है. Then comes the sepals which hold the petals in the place. Then comes the colorful part. These are called the petals. और फिर हमने सबसे पहले पढ़ा था anther and filament which is collectively called stamen. It is the male part of the flower. And then comes stigma, style and ovary which is collectively called carpel and it is the female part of the flower. And inside the ovary there are ovules or eggs. So my dear students, this is the structure of the flower जो कि आपने खुद भी study किया है with the real flower. So my dear students, now sepals. Let's read about the sepals. A bud of a flower is often covered by leaf-like structures called sepals. They are thick and usually green in color. The main function of the sepal is to protect the flower in the bud stage. The whorl of sepal is called calyx. So my dear students, जो उसका चक्कर है उसको हम calyx कहते हैं. Its circle is called calyx. Now petals. The most prominent part of the flower is its petals. They are pretty colors. They are of pretty colors. The petals of some of the plants smell very pleasant. The main function of the petal is to attract the pollinators and also to protect the inner part of the flower. The whorl of the petal is called corolla. सो माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, सेपल के वर्ल को, उसके चक्कर को कैलिक्स कहते हैं और पेटल्स के वर्ल को करोला कहते हैं. ओके, सो पेटल्स का मेन काम क्या होता है कि ये इंसेक्ट्स को अट्रैक्ट करती हैं अपनी तरफ से, एंड दे हैव नाइस फ्रेग्रेंस ऑल्सो, एंड दे ऑल्सो प्रोटेक्ट द इनर स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द फ्लावर. So my dear students, now let's look at the stamen, which has two parts, filament and anther. So collectively these two are called, anther and filament are called stamen, which is the male part of the flower. So let's read about stamens. The third word is a complete flower in the stamen. A stamen is a long tube-like structure called filament. It is the male part of the flower. A stamen has a sac at its top called anther, which bears pollen grains. These pollen grains carry male reproductive cells called sperms with them. So my dear students, the male part of the flower is called the stamen, and it has two parts. The long part is called the filament, and the top sac-like structure is called the anther. The anthers have pollen in them, which have the cells called reproductive cells called sperms in them. So my dear students, this is the internal structure of the flower. Now let's read about the carpel, which is the female part of the flower. Carpel is the innermost whorl of the flower. It has swollen base as ovary, जो कि मैंने आपको दिखाई थी कि सबसे नीचे इसके एक swollen part होता है, which is called ovary. Ovary contains female reproductive cells called ovules. The ovary extends upwards into a tube called style, and its flat sticky surface is called stigma. Stigma catches the pollen grains and due to its sticky surface. A flower may has both male and female reproductive parts. Such flowers are called complete flowers. They are also called hermaphrodites. A flower may has either male or female reproductive parts. Such flowers are called incomplete flowers. So my dear students, अभी मैंने आपको एक rose flower दिखाया था, which is a complete flower, and it is a hermaphrodite because it has both the structures male and female. It has stamens and it has carpel. Carpel के three part होते हैं. The swollen base part. The swollen base part is called the ovary, and then a tube-like part that is called style, and then the top sticky part that is called stigma. So my dear students, this is done. जिस flower के अंदर male और female parts दोनों मौजूद नहीं होते, कोई एक part मौजूद होता है, that is called the incomplete flower. So my dear students, we have read about different parts of the flower now. Let's look at the tidbits. Plants that bear both male and female flowers are called monoecious plants, such as brinjal, orange, etc. While those that bear only either male or female flowers are called dioecious plants, such as corn, banana, etc. So my dear students, this was an information. Now we will move forward towards the practice. For practice, you can download this worksheet from the description box below this video, or you can get it in print form by your teacher. So my dear students, here is an incomplete flower. You have to label it, different parts of the flower, anther, filament, and what are they collectively called? The sepals, the pedicel, then the ovary, style, stigma, and collectively it is called carpel. So complete it completely, label it, and submit it to your teacher. I hope you have finished it. Now we will move forward towards page number 48, which has exercise number C, question number 1. You will do it in your notebooks. Describe the structure of a flower in detail with a suitable diagram. So my dear students, आपको flower का पूरा structure, what are stamens, carpel, stigma, style, ovary, sepals and petals. So आपको इसको completely जो है वो explain करना है, और आपको इसको diagram भी बनानी है इसके साथ. So you will do it in your classwork, notebooks में करेंगे आप. Also draw the diagram. So now is the time for evaluation. For evaluation, quickly listen to the question and then answer. Which flowers are called hermaphrodite? Which are complete flowers? Very good. Now, which part of the flower bear pollen grains? Excellent. Anthers bear pollen grains. Very good. Now is the time for homework. Draw and label the structure of male and female flower. So my dear students, आपको मेल और फीमेल पार्ट्स के जो स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं वो सेपरेटली ड्रॉ करने हैं. बहुत आसान है. आप मेल स्ट्रक्चर जो है उसको ड्रॉ कर सकते हैं. Then label it that this is anther and this is filament, and then draw the female part of the flower and then label it. which is stigma, style, and ovary, and what is inside the ovary. And I write down that this is the male part of the flower and this is female part of the flower. Male part is collectively called stamen and female part is called carpel. So complete it in your homework, and you will do exercise number A given on page number 47, number 1 and number 2 MCQ. Then exercise number B, question number 1 and 2 you will do in your notebooks as your homework given on page number 48. So my dear students, complete it in your notebooks. The MCQs will be done in your books. So this is your homework. So my dear students, you will also perform a project. Project number 1, visit a nearby garden, pluck flowers from different plants, examine their external world, dissect the flower to study stamens and carpels, observe them using magnifying glass, dry these flowers and preserve them in your scrapbook, label each part of the flower as well. So my dear students, just like I have performed the experiment using a magnifying glass and a flower, and I dissected and I showed you different worlds of the flower, and I showed you the female and male parts of the flower. Similarly, you will also dissect the flower and have a look at different parts of the flower and follow the instructions of the project. So my dear students, what have we learned today? Today we learned the main part of the flower. Main parts of the flower are petal, sepal, stamen and carpel. In the next lecture, the students will learn about pollination and its types. Until then, keep everybody around you safe. Have a good day. Thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.